Ladies and gentlemen, in this section of the program, we'll be digging a little bit deeper into the actual findings. I will give a brief overview and then turn the floor over to my two colleagues who are the data experts and will be dazzled with a lot of tables and charts to examine more closely the evidence from this year's PAPI survey and the trends over the past 5 years. As you can see, PAPI has, we've been talking this morning about 6 indicators. And in those 6 indicators, some of the questions on the survey are actually feeding into those indicators and asked every single year so that we can compare change over time. And then every year we have new questions that are in addition to the core questions that deal with timely topics like land issues and, for example, citizen participation. So in all, we have over 500 substantive questions that contribute to the PAPI survey. Because not every person will be answering on every topic, the survey only takes 45 minutes to 60 minutes. And it's a one-on-one, face-to-face survey that's used this year through tablets. As Dr. Mehta mentioned, we have new technology in place, and I hope that outside in the stands you can experiment with the tablet and see what it's like yourself. This really greatly increased quality control because we had real-time monitoring, and anywhere in the world, our international experts, our national experts could see what was happening in the field between July and November of last year. We also have a random sampling, which ensures that the entire population is actually represented. So we have the same relative percentage of women, the same number of ethnic minorities are represented in the survey. So we can be confident that when we hear about experiences in PAPI, they reflect the genuine cross-sector of the population here in Vietnam. To date, we have had almost 75,000 citizens participating since PAPI was first piloted. And this year, the representative sample nationwide included almost 14,000 citizens across all 63 provinces. I've skimmed over, you can read in your booklet the details of the slide that I passed over, but we want to make sure there's enough time to look at the graphs and tables. This is the most important slide in my presentation. I think that you've heard about the 6 dimensions. And this first dimension, you can see it's like a downhill staircase. Clearly, from the first year, 2011, 2012, 2013, it's going down, 2014, and we see even an increasing decline in last year's results, 2015, in participation in local levels. One way to get this up would be to increase participation in the upcoming elections, because elections are a component of participation. And there's also participation in commenting on laws and policies and other ways at the local level that citizens can participate in governance. But we do see a concern here that there is a trend downward clearly in that first dimension. The second dimension, which is transparency, the third dimension, vertical accountability, the fourth, control of corruption, and even the last one, public administration procedures, we see in all 4 of these, we see in all 4 of these a decline. Here we see a decline, and here we see a decline. But interestingly, in these 3, it actually kind of went up, and then the decline is over the past 2 years. So 2013, 14, 15, you see in the last 2 years it's gone down. But initially, at the beginning of the administration, there was a slight increase, and then it goes down. The same thing here with vertical accountability. Vertical accountability means citizens holding government to account. There are other kinds of accountability which are not measured here, which would be, for example, the government using its own mechanisms to hold itself to account. But here we're talking about citizens because PAPI is a citizen-focused survey. Also, in the 4th dimension, you see there was an increase initially from 2011, 12, 13. And then the decline is from 2013, 14, and down to this most recent year, 2015, in control of corruption. It's important to note that it doesn't necessarily mean that government is doing less control of corruption. What it means is citizens' experience of control of corruption and their satisfaction with it has declined. It could be across the board here that citizens are having increased expectations. And so government could be performing equally over time, But if citizens increase their expectations, then they will decrease in their satisfaction. In the fifth dimension, we see on public administrative procedures. That's the day-to-day going in to get permits, birth certificates, registrations, things that people encounter regularly at the local level. And it's not bad, but there is definitely a slight decline in recent years. Overall, though, compared to the first four, government's doing a little bit better there. And then the positive news, as before in previous years, if you've come to this lunch before, there has been a continuing slight increase in people's satisfaction with public service delivery. It doesn't mean, again, that people are very happy with service delivery, but they're increasingly satisfied. There's always room to improve, and I think that we will try to set the bar higher in future surveys when we revise this, because if basic services are being met, then what is the next need for middle-income Vietnam in terms of service delivery? This is another way, again, if you look at your reports that you've got in your bag, another way to look at the same data. So I won't take too long on it. I just wanted to point out that, for example, in vertical accountability, you can see the median. The little dot is the median score across the 63 provinces. And so there is a decline. But at the same time, there are some provinces that are performing much better than the median, and there are some. Thank you. So the takeaway point is that while we can look at the national results across the board, we also need to look closely at particular provinces, because some are performing above and some are performing below. And actually, in the case of vertical accountability, this, even though it's low on the bottom, it's better than it was last year. So it's not as poor as previous years. The point here overall is, if you want to look closely at the numbers, there's lots of variation. And so while we give you an overview, it's important to drill down and look at the details too. In conclusion, for my overview, the significant declines call for the new administration to make renewed efforts to perform better in the next 5 years. At least 26 provinces have already responded to PAPI findings over the past few years. They've made action plans, and this is a positive trend that we want to encourage. We want to see more action plans. But above all, we want to see the action plans actually implemented. Finally, the good practices in the high-performing provinces, which you'll hear about today, should be emulated and possibly adapted for other provinces. So looking towards how do we turn these scores into better performance in governance, let's look at what some provinces are doing well and take a look at what works. Thank you very much. I'd like to pass it over to Dr. Paul.